Imagine for just a second that you're standing at the absolute edge of Long Island, New York. You're right where the restless, churning Atlantic Ocean violently meets this jagged, unforgiving rocky coastline. The wind is literally howling through the rusted, decaying scaffolding of an enormous, abandoned Cold War radar tower looming overhead. It's an incredibly bleak, chilling atmosphere. And the scariest part? It's what's beneath you. Beneath your feet, sealed tightly under thousands of tons of unyielding, poured concrete, lies a dark, flooded labyrinth of subterranean tunnels. For well over 40 years now, the most terrifying whispers have echoed out of this desolate place we call Camp Hero. We're talking spine-chilling whispers of unholy, rogue science, of stolen children who simply vanished into the night, of literal tears being ripped into the very fabric of time and space. So today, in this explainer, we are going to walk straight into those shadows. We're going to completely dissect one of the darkest, most profoundly terrifying legends in all of modern American history, the Montauk Project.
Okay, let's dive into this, because to actually grasp the true nightmare of Montauk, we have to travel back first. We need to go back to the absolute height of World War II. The year is 1943. The Allies are incredibly desperate for any conceivable edge against the Axis powers, and this desperation supposedly births a highly classified Black Book initiative known as Project Rainbow. Now, conspiracy theorists claim that over at the Philadelphia Naval Shipyard, the U.S. military attempted the impossible. They tried to make a destroyer escort, the USS Eldridge, completely invisible to enemy radar. But the experiment went catastrophically, horrifyingly wrong. The ship didn't just vanish from the radar screens, it vanished from our space-time continuum entirely. It supposedly teleported over 200 miles away to Norfolk, Virginia, before violently snapping back to its original location. And the human toll? It was pure, unadulterated horror. When this eerie, green, glowing fog finally cleared off the deck, sailors were reportedly found literally fused to the metal bulkheads of the ship. They were screaming in absolute agony. Their biological molecules permanently, gruesomely merged with the solid steel. Others? They just completely vanished into thin air, or went irreversibly insane. This blood-chilling tale, famously known as the Philadelphia experiment, serves as the gruesome prologue to our entire story today.
But here's the wild part. This sprawling mythology, it didn't fully materialize in the public consciousness until decades later. It was 1992 when a man named Preston Nichols stepped into the spotlight. Nichols, who claimed to hold degrees in both parapsychology and electrical engineering, published a book titled The Montauk Project, Experiments in Time, and his core claim is absolutely staggering. He alleged that he had suddenly recovered these deeply, deeply suppressed memories of his own direct involvement as a technical director in highly classified experiments. He claimed that the gruesome, nightmarish anomalies of the Philadelphia experiment hadn't just been shut down and abandoned. No, they were secretly moved to a secluded military base on Long Island in the 1970s and 80s to be weaponized. And just like that, his self-published book became Ground Zero. It was the spark that ignited a sprawling, deeply terrifying conspiracy theory that would capture the minds of millions.
And honestly, the physical setting for Nichols' claims couldn't be more perfect for a horror story, because Camp Hero is a real, tangible place. Today, it operates as a New York State park, but I'm telling you, it completely retains this deeply unsettling, almost post-apocalyptic atmosphere. It literally feels like walking onto the set of a horror film. Visitors who pay the $8 entry fee aren't greeted by cheerful park rangers. They're greeted by a landscape of absolute suffocating paranoia. You see heavy chained gates, boarded up decaying barracks, massive concrete gun batteries, and ominous "Do Not Enter" signs plastered everywhere. During World War II, the military actually went to the trouble of disguising this heavily armed base as a quaint fishing village from the air, complete with fake, painted-on windows on the sides of massive concrete bunkers. It's incredibly eerie. This palpable physical dread makes the terrifying stories feel dangerously, undeniably real to anyone walking down its overgrown, shadowed trails.
And looming over this entire desolate landscape is the Sage Radar Tower. It's a massive, brooding 90-foot dish that essentially serves as the sinister, rusting monument of the whole Montauk legend. According to the conspiracy lore, this antiquated Cold War air defense system wasn't actually shut down in the 1980s like the official military records state. Not at all. Instead, Nichols claimed it was secretly modified. He said it was fundamentally repurposed into a terrifying psychotronic weapon. The theory alleges that this massive radar dish was carefully, maliciously calibrated to blast specific frequencies, specifically right between 410 and 420 megahertz. And why that exact range? Because that's the frequency supposedly capable of penetrating the human skull. The claim is that they were directly influencing mass consciousness, literally altering the moods, thoughts, and emotions of the nearby civilian populations, and the public never even knew their minds were being hijacked.
But somehow, mass mind control was just the tip of the iceberg. The claims quickly escalated into full-blown, mind-bending science fiction. Enter two men, Al Bielek and Duncan Cameron. They came forward with an absolutely insane story, claiming that they were actually the original sailors on the USS Eldridge back in 1943. They said that when the ship violently entered hyperspace during the Philadelphia experiment, the horror was so intense that they literally jumped overboard to escape, but they didn't hit the water. They claimed they fell endlessly through a swirling time vortex and violently landed right in the middle of Camp Hero in the year 1983. Once there, they were incorporated into the Montauk Project, and they alleged they were sent on even further, highly dangerous temporal reconnaissance missions. They described jumping far into the future to the year 2137, where they found a devastated, nightmarish post-nuclear wasteland with completely submerged coastlines. Then, incredibly, they claimed to take another leap all the way to the year 2749, where they discovered this pristine floating utopia entirely governed by artificial intelligence, where money and governments simply no longer existed.
So you're probably wondering, how on earth did they supposedly make these miraculous, terrifying leaps through time? Well, the project allegedly relied on a highly advanced, sinister device known simply as the Montauk chair. And legend has it, this technology wasn't built by human hands. It was reverse engineered directly from crashed extraterrestrial UFOs. The logic here was that since alien spacecraft allegedly lacked any physical steering wheels or controls, they had to be piloted by the sheer, raw thought power of their occupants. So the military supposedly built the Montauk chair to interface directly with the human brain. By strapping a highly gifted psychic into this chair, most notably Duncan Cameron, the project scientists could theoretically amplify his mental frequencies to unimaginable levels. We're talking amplifying his mind so much that he could literally manifest solid physical objects right out of thin air, remote view any secret location on Earth, and most terrifyingly, use his amplified mind to violently tear open literal portals in the space-time continuum.
But as we delve even deeper into this lore, the myth takes its most sinister, genuinely disturbing turn yet. To power these massive psychic experiments, the project allegedly required a constant supply of disposable human subjects. The conspiracy claims that secret military operatives prowled the streets of New York, ruthlessly abducting thousands of runaway youths and vulnerable forgotten teenagers. In the lore, these stolen kids are referred to as the Montauk Boys. It's a truly sickening thought. These children were supposedly dragged down into the claustrophobic, subterranean depths of Camp Hero and subjected to unimaginable, nightmarish horrors. We're talking extreme psychological trauma, brutal electroshock, and complex electromagnetic programming. The goal was to completely shatter their innocent minds and forcibly rebuild them as psychic super soldiers, or to simply use their raw life force as human batteries to power the insatiable Montauk chair.
And the climax of this entire horrifying saga? It reads exactly like the bloody, chaotic final act of a monster movie. According to the lore, by August of 1983, a rogue faction within the project staff finally realized that these unholy experiments had simply gone too far. So, they decided to completely sabotage the whole operation. They secretly planted a subliminal, post-hypnotic suggestion deep within the mind of their lead psychic, Duncan Cameron. When triggered with a specific phrase, "the time is now," Cameron's massively amplified subconscious violently manifested his darkest inner demon into a massive, terrifying, hairy beast. This nightmarish monster, literally born of pure psychic energy, reportedly became completely solid. It rampaged through the claustrophobic underground facility, ruthlessly smashing the multi-million-dollar equipment and devouring screaming researchers in the dark. To trap the beast and end the nightmare, the military was forced to immediately sever the power, abandon the base entirely, and permanently seal all those underground tunnels with thousands upon thousands of tons of solid cement.
Okay, wow. Let's all just take a deep breath. We have just walked through what is arguably one of the most elaborate, deeply terrifying ghost stories of the entire 20th century. But now it is time to drop the spooky campfire voice. As fascinating and as horrifying as all these stories are, we are doing an explainer of the facts, and we need to ask the absolutely critical question here. Is there actually a single shred of credible evidence to support literally any of this? Well, it's time to bring out the sledgehammer of truth and methodically gut this legend, fact by verifiable fact.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how easily these grand testimonies completely fall apart the second you apply even a little bit of real scrutiny. Take Al Bielek, the man who confidently claimed to have traveled through time. As the years went on and skeptics logically challenged his unbelievable story, his timeline suddenly became incredibly elastic.
For instance, he confidently predicted that a massive global nuclear war would start in the year 2000. But when we all woke up in 2001 completely fine, he didn't admit he was wrong. He simply shifted his story to say the war actually happened in 2005. And then, 2015, he continuously layered on new, increasingly absurd details, eventually claiming with a straight face that he had taken casual side trips to Mars and visited the year 3543. His narrative wasn't a consistent, reliable historical account. It was just a highly flexible science fiction script that he kept rewriting whenever he was backed into a corner by reality.
And when you start aggressively fact-checking the specific individuals allegedly involved, the entire foundation of the myth just crumbles to dust. Al Bielek claimed that his true original identity back in 1943 was a man named Edward Cameron, and he even proudly posted a vintage Princeton yearbook photo online to prove it to the world. Well, real investigators quickly tracked down that exact photo. It actually belonged to a man named Alexander Cameron III, a regular guy who had absolutely nothing to do with the military whatsoever. Furthermore, Bielek insisted that the evil mastermind directing the entire Montauk Project in 1983 was the world-famous physicist Dr. John von Neumann. There's just one massive, undeniable problem with that specific claim. Historical and medical records conclusively prove that Dr. von Neumann tragically died of cancer in 1957.
So the crucial point is the staggering, almost comical disconnect between the wild sci-fi fantasy and the painfully mundane reality. Conspiracy theorists walk up, look at that giant SAGE radar tower, and they literally see a sinister mind control weapon targeting innocent civilians. But military historians look at it and see exactly what it was built to be, a rudimentary, albeit massive, early warning radar system. It was built specifically to detect incoming Soviet bombers flying over the Atlantic during the incredibly tense days of the Cold War. It wasn't an interdimensional gateway to other worlds. It was an incredibly loud, super clunky piece of mid-century defense bureaucracy that essentially became totally obsolete the very moment satellite technology was invented.
And this brilliantly illustrates the reality of what is actually buried beneath the dirt at Camp Hero today. In 2022, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers released a highly detailed, extremely thorough final decision document regarding the Camp Hero formerly used defense site. So what do they uncover in those dreaded tunnels? Do they find secret humming nuclear reactors, crashed alien technology, cemented tunnels filled with the giant bones of a psychic monster? No, absolutely not. They found exactly what you'd expect at an abandoned military base from the 1940s, really old, rusting underground fuel storage tanks that urgently needed to be safely removed, and groundwater that needed to be continuously tested for chemical runoff. It is the incredibly boring, tedious reality of basic environmental remediation, not some grand paranormal cover-up. So this begs a massive question. If the Montauk Project is a complete and utter fabrication, which it is, why do so many genuinely intelligent people still believe it? Well, it's because the creators of this myth were smart. They used a highly effective psychological technique that we can call factual scaffolding. You see, the Montauk legend isn't built entirely on thin air. It is cleverly, intricately woven right into the fabric of documented, historical government misdeeds. When a conspiracy theory successfully maps its fictional sci-fi claims onto real, verified, deeply concerning government programs, the boundary between fact and fiction becomes incredibly blurred for the average person. It makes the lie feel true.
And the most glaring, heartbreaking example of this factual scaffolding is the CIA's infamous MK-Ultra program. From 1953 to 1973, the US government truly did conduct covert, highly unethical, and deeply damaging mind control experiments. Fully declassified documents verified that the CIA actively tested LSD, extreme sensory deprivation, and brutal electroshock therapy on unwitting American citizens, including highly vulnerable patients and even children. It is a horrifying, verified historical fact. So the creators of the Montauk myth? They simply took the very real, documented trauma of the MK-Ultra program and dramatically exaggerated it to invent their fictional narrative of the tortured Montauk boys. They weaponized real history to sell a fake story.
And look, this inherent, deep-seated distrust of government secrecy is absolutely not just a relic of the Cold War past. It is actively, vigorously fueled today. Recently, we've all seen those explosive congressional hearings where high-ranking intelligence whistleblowers like David Grush have sat down and testified under oath. Documents actually presented to Congress explicitly claim that the executive branch is managing unidentified anomalous phenomena completely without congressional oversight. They're talking about unacknowledged special access programs with super-secretive code names like Immaculate Constellation. Now, while these whistleblowers certainly aren't validating time travel or hairy psychic beasts, The sheer fact that the government openly admits to running highly classified, entirely opaque programs gives immediate, massive oxygen to the most extreme conspiracy theories out there. When the truth is hidden behind red tape, our imaginations rush in to fill the void.
Let's move to and see how this builds into something we all recognize today. Let's shift gears and look at how this exact myth built the absolute pop culture juggernaut we all know and love. The creators of the massive Netflix hit Stranger Things, the Duffer Brothers, were directly, undeniably inspired by Preston Nichols' book. In fact, the connection is so literal that their original pilot script for the show was actually titled Montauk, and it was entirely set on Long Island. Just look at the glaring parallels. Hawkins National Laboratory is a direct stand-in for the secret of Camp Hero. 11, the deeply traumatized young girl with incredible psychic powers, perfectly represents the lore of the Montauk Boys and Duncan Cameron. And the upside down, that's the terrifying, dark, alternate dimension ripped open by those exact psychic powers. When you step back, the trajectory of this entire story is just absolutely astounding. Think about it. In 1992, you have a single man self-publishing a totally fringe, unverified book based on allegedly recovered memories. Fast forward to today, and that exact narrative framework has seamlessly morphed into a multi-billion-dollar entertainment franchise that has literally defined a generation of television. The myth of the Montauk Project has become so culturally pervasive, so incredibly deeply embedded in our collective imagination, that for millions of people around the world, the fictional narrative genuinely feels significantly more real and infinitely more interesting than the boring historical truth.
Which leaves us with a final, truly fascinating question to ponder as we wrap up this explainer. As someone explaining these facts to you, I really have to ask, why do we cling so tightly to these terrifying stories? Is it because a fictional world filled with telekinetic super soldiers, crashed alien portals, and time-traveling destroyers is, secretly, somehow more comforting to us than the cold, unfeeling bureaucratic reality? Perhaps it's just much easier to be terrified of a fantastical, hairy psychic beast than it is to confront the genuinely mundane, depressing reality that our human governments sometimes operate in the dark, making careless, highly unethical decisions that hurt real people, without any supernatural help at all. So I leave you with this. What are we truly more afraid of? The science fiction monsters we invent, or the deeply flawed human bureaucracies we allow to operate in the shadows?